What's up, guys? I'm Jackson Young, and I'm on the Sideline Show.
Everybody, listen up!
It's the Sideline Show.
Won't go. Rebound box. Back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Bang! Everybody's ready to go. He's ready to go. I'm ready to go. And you're ready to go.
Introducing now the host of the Sideline Show, Jackson Prince.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? You are watching the Sideline Show. I'm your host, Jackson Prince, and today we're doing a couple different new things. One, we're doing our first outdoor episode, which I actually think is super cool. We are here at SMU, and I recently recorded an episode with a different SMU athlete in Alex Glover, and I have another episode that is sure to be just as good today. I got a friend of mine who has played Division I basketball for a long time. He's been a walk-on, and he knows all of the stuff that I went through, all the stuff that I tell you guys about. So I got my good friend, Jackson Young. Jackson,
what's going on, man?
Man.
Glad to be here, man. I appreciate you bringing me on.
Oh, dude, thanks for doing this, man. We actually kind of met each other through kind of the social media space and through content and stuff. I always kind of knew who you were, but I didn't really have a platform to like come up and talk to you or just, So it's always been nice to make new connections through all the social media stuff and everything. And, yeah, man, I appreciate you doing this.
For sure, bro. Yeah, I remember you came on like a visit here when Coach Lanier and Coach Kreider, and you came in the gym and you had your little brother with you. I was like, yeah, we're putting up jumpers. I was like, I was asking Kreider, I was like, you coming here? He's like, yeah, looking at him to be a walk-on or whatever. So I was like, all right, dope. Yeah. I think after that we followed each other and just kind of kept up with your content and stuff.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, dude, you've been killing it in content too, man. You had a video that SZA liked.
Dude, yeah, I was in a workout and I got out of my workout and it was like SZA liked my reel and I was like, hold up.
That's pretty sick.
I thought it was some like spam account or something fake. I was like, oh, that's dope.
That's dope. So I guess how did you get into the content space? Because social media is such like an intimidating thing to get into.
For sure.
It's it's a lot.
It is. And there's kind of that fine line between putting out content that appeals to people and sometimes it's might be corny. And like I always tell people, like, if I feel like my content is like corny but it's what I do and I find like happiness in making it, like I'm fine with it. And like getting into that realm is something where there's going to be judgment. There's judgment for everything. Like LeBron gets critiqued on basketball and he's one of the greatest of all time. So it's like you're never going to be perfect in a space. Everybody's going to have an opinion. So for me, it was just like putting out a lifestyle that's authentic to me. Like I dress, I'm going to put out outfits I wear. Like I love Hawaii. I played 1 year there. We can get into that. But like the island vibe, like just the music and the culture, like just how much love they show people, like that, expressing that through my social media. Like I was out in Hawaii and that was like a big thing for me is just expressing things I go through on a day-to-day basis that's authentic to me. Man. And if people like it and enjoy it and I do well, then great. If they don't, then at least they know who I am as a person.
Man, that's real, dude. And that's like, because I talk to a lot of athletes about content stuff and a lot of, especially high school athletes, like they ask me, how did you get into it? And, what should I do? And I always tell them exactly what you're saying is just be as authentic as humanly possible because,
absolutely.
Everyone else in the world is already taken. The only person you can be is yourself.
For sure.
Right. So, when I first started the social media thing, I was really into like the business and like finance stuff. So, I try to make like content like that or strictly motivational content. And then I realized, man, I was a 17-year-old kid. What did I know?
Yeah.
Right. And I got back to who it is that I was at the time, which was a student athlete. I was a basketball player. That's what I knew. And what I knew really well was AAU basketball and high school basketball. So I started making content around that, and then it just kind of took off from here. And now I got the podcast and everything. And it's been a journey.
You've definitely hit, like you found your niche, like your realm, and you've been working in that. And obviously, like it's paid off because I'm sure you have a lot of kids that are like, all right, you've set the blueprint. Kids are like, I'm going to follow what he did. Yeah. And when you become that, then it's like, all right, you also have a certain level of expectation to produce the same type of content, but to produce it in a professional manner.
For sure. And, well, for me, it's like kind of like what you said right there, finding my niche, right? For me, it's the podcasting stuff because I can't dress as well as you, so I'm not even gonna try to compete with you on that, man. Like you got it, bro. Like I actually, I look at kind of the tunnel walkthrough pictures and stuff of like your different fits, and I'm like, All right, let me see if I can try to match the vibe a little bit, because I love your fits, man.
I appreciate it, man. You
it's
gotta have your own vibe. I feel
For
like
sure.
mine's like somewhere between surfer and cowboy or
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it, man. Growing up in Texas, but just experiencing so many different cultures that
Yeah.
I just kind of throw together. What I feel.
love it, man. I love it.
I
I love
appreciate it.
But dude, I think my favorite part about the social media stuff, especially in college athletics, is you get to connect with so many new people. And basketball alone, you get to do that. And being in college alone, you get to do that. But
Sure.
once you crack that social media space and people start recognizing who you are, it's a whole different ball game. So talk about how that's been with you.
So for me, I think one of my favorite things is when people have a certain expectation of who I'm gonna be based off my social media, and then I meet them in person, and they're like, "That was scratch what I really thought about you, and that's who you are as a person." I really enjoy that, but I feel like my social media does a decent job of reflecting who I am. So I mean, that's what I really try to do. But I think with having a platform and putting out myself, it gives people kind of like a preconceived idea of who they're meeting. And then when I get in the locker room with these guys from completely different backgrounds than I'm from, and I can relate to them on certain things, or they might like my fashion sense, or they might like the fact I go fishing. Like, we got a new guy, or a freshman on our team. His name's Chance. He's from Dallas, went to Dallas Carter. He was like, "Man, I love to fish." I'm like, let's go run it sometime. Let's go fish. Being able to relate to guys, and I put it out there, and so they see it, and they feel like they can connect with me because they're like, "Oh, well, I see this guy does this." And so I think more than anything, the relationships it can build, because you've already had that vulnerability of putting it out there. And so now they know you do that. So why not, "Oh, yeah, I want to go do this with Jackson because I know he does it." Like, that's the type of stuff I enjoy more, is the relationships I get out of sports more than anything.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I totally agree, because I don't think it's a secret. Neither of us are probably ever going to play in the NBA.
No.
And that's totally okay.
No.
Right? But the connections that we build while we're in college, especially with guys like me and you, because I feel like me and you we're going to do stuff for years.
Absolutely.
Right? Especially in the content space and helping other athletes. I feel like me, you, Alex Glover, I feel like all of us are going to be in that space.
Sure.
And I love that. So, and now for you, you're a vet too.
Yeah, I'm an old head.
You're an old head.
I'm an
You're
old
an old
head
guy,
for
bro.
sure.
So
Yeah.
talk about how the roles have changed for now you being at a veteran status
For sure.
throughout the years.
So my first year, I was a walk-on at Texas A&M under Coach Buzz Williams.
Mhm.
And Coach Williams was so structured and had everything down to a T, and it was perfect. I mean, he is a top-of-the-line coach. Everybody says, "Oh, he's high energy." He is, because he really cares about all the guys he's working with. And I enjoyed playing under him, and I think I learned more about discipline and how to become a true man under Coach Buzz than I have, any other walk of life. Coach Buzz taught me a lot about just being a man. And so I took that, but I also learned when I got there that I'm not as good as I thought I was.
Man.
I came in as a high school player. I played at Kerrville Tivy, and it's a town of 22,000 people. I played 5A basketball. So, we had Wagner in our district, and I averaged, decent points in high school, 20-something a game or something like that. It's high school basketball. But then you get to that Division I level, and it's all these guys around you average that. So, what type of ego do you really have? And then you come into your first drill, you mess it up, you get chewed out. Okay, now it kind of takes you down a little bit off your high horse. By the end of your freshman year, you realize, okay, I'm not here to be the best basketball player on my team. I'm here to be the best person on my team. So how can I do things right relationship-wise, academically, as much as I can contribute athletically, and just be that source for my coaches that's all right, I can always rely on that guy. So that's what I learned my freshman year. My sophomore year, I was like, okay, I want to play. I'm not good enough to play Division I basketball. I'm realistic. Never been a delusional walk-on. I'm like, okay, I'm not realistic enough to play. So how can I play? Found a D2 school that fit my vibe out in Hawaii. Ended up at Hawaii Pacific. I played there for 1 year, played in every game, started in a few games, and it was okay, I realized out there nobody really truly cares that much about basketball. It's on the island, being out there, you're completely removed from your family. It's 5-hour time difference. You're with a bunch of guys that's your cohort, your fraternities, all these guys you play basketball with. So then you learn, like, okay, I have to be like a real person. There's a life outside of basketball. Like I can go to the beach, but I also got to find out, how do I communicate with everyone? Like, what's the vibe out here? And I think I grew more as a person in that. So I kind of got away from basketball, and it was like, all right, how do I kind of, become the best version of myself I can be? And out there, I really felt like I learned how to relax. I learned how to just kind of go with the flow. And then I learned how to just be a genuinely good person, more so than, my family had taught me, because, I come from great people. But, and then I got to –
it's different.
Yeah, very different, very different. Then I got to SMU. And I was coming in with a completely new coaching staff from Georgia State with Coach Lanier, Coach Crow, Coach Kreider, all these guys. And
great people, by the way.
Oh, absolutely phenomenal people.
Like, I have nothing bad to say about them. Like, on my visit, I watched SMU football play, and Coach Kreider came and sat next to me for the whole first half, and we were just talking, and, like, genuinely great people.
Great people. I mean, Coach Lanier – I saw funny you say that. So I came in here, and when I got here from Hawaii, my hair was like down to my shoulders. I was playing with a bun, and like I just looked like a surfer. I walk in, I'm sitting down, and first meeting with Coach Lanier, and he's like, "Man, you might have the best hair in the program." And I was like, "I appreciate that, Coach." And then I'm sitting there, and like what I learned from Coach Williams is the entire time a coach is talking, you make eye contact with the coach. Coach Williams taught me that. Like,
yeah,
any time a coach is talking, you're making eye contact the whole time. So I'm looking at Coach Lanier the entire time he's talking. He gets done, and he's like, you know what? That guy right there, I know he's gonna be a millionaire one day. And I was just like, this is my first time ever meeting you, Coach. What are you talking about? I'm gonna be a millionaire. He's like, that guy's gonna be a millionaire one day, because he was locked into everything I'm saying. And I guarantee you, if I asked him anything I said in this first speech, he would know everything I said. So just like from that moment forward, I was like, this guy does not care about how good I am at basketball. He really just wants me to be the best person I could possibly be for this team. And that made me excited to come in every day. Like, I understood what my role was, is any way I could contribute academically, athletically, spiritually, anything, is I'm going to bring that to the table, because this guy, he truly believes in me, and he showed it from the first day. After that, played my first year with Coach. Second year, same deal. Still have love for him, love for his family. We're a very close-knit team. And January comes around, we're playing at Memphis. It's the day before we play Memphis. And I walk into a team meeting after I just gotten out of a lift. Like, I was lifting because I knew I wasn't going to play. So I was like, all right, if I'm sore, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not going to play in this game. So I'm like, walk in after my lift, and I'm sitting there, and he's going through his spiel, and he's talking, about the team and what we need to do against Memphis. And then he kind of deviates, and he's like, you know what? Like, first semester just got done. We had one guy on our team that got a 4.0. He's like, Jackson, like, can you stand up? And so I'm like, all right, appreciate it, Coach. Like, thanks. I'm like about to go to sit down, and then he keeps going. He's like, he does everything that we ask him to do and more, like off the court. And he's like, you know what? We don't have many times that, we can show our appreciation for somebody, but today we have like an opportunity, and gave me a scholarship. And I'll be forever thankful for that. Especially with being at SMU, it's very like, it's very expensive school.
Yeah, that's a lot of money to come here, bro.
More so than that, it was just like, he's not investing in me as a basketball player. He's investing in me as a person, because my basketball, I made 2-3 shots in a season, but he didn't care about that. And that's when I realized that, when you have someone that believes in you like that, you're going to go further. I mean, it just motivates you to go harder. And so having that, I really appreciated Coach Lanier and that entire staff and those teammates I had. Had a good season with them. And now I'm in my old head season. I've got my undergrad. Now I'm getting my master's in sports management with an entirely new staff. And it's a new journey that I'm excited, because I find myself in a position where it's like, guys listen to me because I'm a little bit older. And just learning a new staff and being around new people, being a person that loves relationships. But it all comes from the first lessons I learned at Texas A&M on how to be a man and now how to carry myself. And we got a new freshman to walk on this year. And it's like, all right, how can I pour into this kid so that way when he's a senior, he can do it to the next walk-on and start a cycle of having good walk-ons.
Right.
And, you've shown this is also what a walk-on can do outside of basketball. Is
Yeah.
he can create content. He can create a platform for himself to build an identity that doesn't attach to the person that's on the court, because very rarely are we on the court. So we have our own identity off the court.
Yeah.
And I think that's important, because then it kind of, distinguishes yourself from the other guys, not in a negative manner, but in a way that's like, okay, like he has an identity outside of basketball. So he's using basketball as a resource. Because I told the freshman his first day, I was like, well, the way you put work into this is going to be based off what you want to get out of it. So whatever you want to get out of this being a walk-on thing is whatever you're going to put into it. You want to be a coach, you're going to learn every play inside out, and you're going to learn every guy. You want to just use it to meet people and, get into social events, okay, but just know that it's not going to give you a whole lot out of it if you're not putting a lot into it.
Right.
And so I think, just from what I learned my freshman year of just how to be a man and how to carry myself, until my senior year of being able to pour that back into other freshmen, walk-on, or even just a freshman on our team, like basketball, that journey, that meeting people, that learning different bits and pieces and then puzzling it all together and sending it to somebody else in a script so that way they can follow the same thing and have success is the most important thing for me.
For sure. Yeah, and I mean, the conversation that you had with Lanier, right, sounds a lot like the conversation I had with David Peavy. And the main reason, I would say one of the main reasons why I'm doing this and really giving it my best shot is because Peavy said the same thing to me. He's like, I think, and he says it to this day, he's like, I think Jackson Prince is going to be a billionaire. Like, man, I've never had anyone say that to me.
Yeah.
To this day, he's the only one where I feel like when they said it, they truly meant it. And they
Absolutely.
truly, like, believe in it and are willing to bet themselves on that.
And he's a great man.
Dude, he's awesome, man.
I got a lot of stories about Coach Peavy.
Man, he's the best coach I've ever played for. I mean, hands down.
He coached against my dad.
Yeah.
So Coach Peavy worked at Alamo Heights, and my dad was a coach at Tybee High School, so we were rival schools. And so I grew up playing with and against Micah.
Yeah.
Like, I do stuff with DJ all the time with Patient Victory, which is, a great clothing brand, and he has a great message behind it. So I support that because, he has the same fashion love I have. And so,
I
love that family.
Y'all are two Ps, man.
I love that family.
I love DJ, love Micah. I'm excited to see him play at Georgetown, too.
He'll do great.
Yeah. Nah, man, DJ's a dad now. Crazy.
I'm
awesome,
happy
man.
for him, man.
Yeah,
He's going to
I'm
be a
super
great
happy.
dad.
Yeah.
And
he's going to be a great
I think
dad,
he
man.
still has a lot of success to have in his clothing business as well. I think it's
I agree.
it's only beginning, and as he gets more NBA guys, promoting it, and he's even called me over like, hey, can do a shoot for me? Absolutely. Like, I want to be here when it's where it is right now, and it's only on its way up.
For sure. I mean, he worked so incredibly hard, and like in the early days, he actually had me help him doing some different content stuff and trying to figure out different strategies, and like we almost got a podcast going for him, and this was like the early days. This was me getting my reps in for this,
for sure,
back before I had any of this equipment. But no, I mean, DJ's a great guy, man. But going back to a little bit of the walk-on stuff, day to day, year to year, like you said, you're not getting on the court a whole lot, and you talked about some of your responsibilities. One of the things that I didn't realize until I got to college was that on game days, walk-ons, red shirts, that bottom of the roster kind of crew, you're working out.
Oh, yeah.
On game days, like twice before tip-off. So it's, I mean, talk about the things that people don't know about being a walk-on.
Okay, so I like this question a lot because a lot of people ask me, how did you become a walk-on? I think I'm good enough to be a walk-on. I think I can compete with the guys that are scholarship guys, right? Yeah. Everybody tells me this. Everybody asks me questions. And I love confidence more than anything, so I understand. But I also tell them, like, being a walk-on is not how good you are at basketball. You have to be good enough to compete. You have to be good enough to, if somebody rolls their ankle in practice, to step in and keep the same level of energy and keep the same level of practice. However, some coaches don't, expect the same level of like performance, but they want you to give everything you have. So I think being a walk-on is all about giving everything you have. If coach tells you to be at a workout at 7, you show up at 6:30. You're there early. You're there 30 minutes early, and you're ready to go by the time the workout's ready. If coach tells you, I want you to pour into this young guy who's having a terrible day, who you can tell is down. Then you become the spiritual leader to that young guy, and you go to him and you pour into him and tell him what he needs to do, but in a way that only you and him can relate on. So I think being a walk-on is more of who you are as a person than it is who you are as a player.
Yeah.
You have to be able to perform in the classroom and set a level of expectation that's like, all right, I'm going to ask Jackson what's going on in this class because I'm confused and I know he can help me. Same thing, I'm going to ask Jackson what's going on in this play because he pays attention all the time and he can tell me where to go in this play. That's how you build equity in a program, and that's how you build a certain standard in a program where it's like any walk-on after you has to follow your level. And that's what I appreciate more than anything. And my young guy who came in with me, Trey Utter, he's one of the brightest, like, basketball players I've ever met. Like, he cannot be paying attention. Like, you feel like he's not paying attention. Coach throws him in, and he'll be in the right spot every time. And he's also carrying himself outside. And so it's like now Trey's building up the program. So I got 2 great walk-ons. That only ups the level of the program because you're only as good as your weakest link is what they say.
Right.
Your walk-on's your weakest link, but your walk-on's also leading the practice. So how good can your team really be?
Oh, yeah.
And so I think my thing is anybody who asks, it's more of who you are as a person and less of who you are as a player. Because I think there's a lot of delusional walk-ons that come in like I'm going to get minutes, I'm super athletic or I'm a really good shooter. It's like, that's great, but you're never going to score a point from the bench.
Right.
So you better figure out how good of a person you can be on that bench to where your coach might be like, you know what, it's time to throw so-and-so in.
Yeah.
So my thing is just be the best person you can be as a walk-on and set a standard of this is the type of guy we want on our team and this is the type of culture we want to build.
I agree. And, like, for me, I got to learn that at Duncanville because my first 2 years – I never really touched the court. I was on varsity the back half of freshman year and then all of sophomore year, and it was – I'm playing behind guys. I played behind Zurich Phelps.
Yeah, he's
right?
a dog.
Am I going to take away minutes from Zurich? No.
Yeah.
Okay, so what can I do to make sure that we go win a state championship? Okay, well, I can be the best locker room guy. I can be the best academic guy. I can push everyone in practice. I can be first in sprints or, compete in sprints because I'm not the fastest guy. But, if someone is behind me who should be in front of me.
Challenging them.
Yeah, they're going to see, damn, Jackson didn't come to play today.
Yeah.
So, and I carried that with me to college, right? And I got to Texas, and I knew I wasn't going to play. Right, I was 15th, 16th man on the roster. I knew where I was. Freshman, redshirt, walk-on. The way I saw it is I always said I had 3 strikes against me the day I walked in the door, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So my goal for the entire year was to be the best locker room guy on the team. Now, obviously, there's no way to, quantify that or to make it a real metric. But if you ask any of my teammates, they'll probably say I was the best locker room guy on the team. I feel like I was at least.
Yeah.
And I had to be one of the best academic guys. Like, if you're lowering the GPA as a walk-on, that's a problem.
Yeah, you're not doing your job.
Yeah, you're not doing your job, and you're liable to get replaced. Because it's easy. And so, raise the team GPA, be the best locker room guy, and when I get in practice, because that's another thing is when you get in practice.
Yeah.
If you, I've always watched college practices, and I always noticed the 3 guys standing on that sideline. I came here, watched you guys, went to Boston College, watched them, went to Texas, watched them. And it's the same thing everywhere. It's tough. But once you get in, you got to be able to compete.
For sure.
And there's always, I'd say there's 4 questions that you should ask yourself before you decide to be a walk-on. 1, are you comfortable not playing for at least 3 years? That's 1. 2, in practice, are you willing and mentally capable to stand on the sideline for weeks at a time? Because when conference comes around, you're probably not going to get in a whole lot.
Nah, short.
And scout team, sure.
For sure.
Right? But you'll get assignments for scout team. But even then, at Texas, we had 8, 9 guys on scout. So sometimes I'm scouting a guy who's 8th man on TCU's roster, a guy who doesn't play a whole lot. So, sometimes you're just not going to get in. Are you academically capable of raising the team GPA semester after semester, right? And then lastly, are you willing to never have a role that's bigger than just a locker room guy? If all of these answers are yes, well, then I think you could be a great fit as a walk-on, right? But I have all of these people, whether it's texting me or whether it's comments, and I got a lot of guys who text me, I'd love to be a walk-on at this level, and how can I do it, and how did you do it? Well, man, I had to go win 3 state championships.
Yeah.
For you, it was averaging 20. I wish I averaged 20.
Yeah,
it
was different.
Let's not discredit the fact that both of us can hoop
Yeah.
at a very, very high level, especially now after, you've been through years of college. I've been through a year of college. I'm a much better player now than I was a year and a half ago, right? So, let's not discredit the fact that walk-ons have to be able to hoop.
Yeah, for sure.
And you have to find ways to stand out while you're in high school. And for me, that was being on the number 1 high school team in the nation and still finding a way to get minutes.
That'll
Even
do
if it was, there's 36 minutes in a high school game, even if I'm only playing 12 minutes. Well, it's like, dang, this 6-foot white kid is getting in, and Anthony Black is hitting him for corner threes. Hey, it's like, and you're going to hear me on that bench because I'm going to be the guy over there, defense. I'm going to be getting into it. So I would say for any high school player, you got to find a way to stand out in ways that 5 stars and 4 stars don't. Because obviously those are the guys taking all the shots.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Even at the college level, right? Zurich Phelps is going to be shooting the ball because Zurich Phelps is probably the best scorer I've ever played with.
For sure. It's finding, just like we do in content creation, finding your niche, finding your role in the team, especially 100%. On the court. When I'm in practice, I'm never going to grab a rebound and go coast to coast and try to do something just outside of my game. I'm going to grab it at the time. I'm going to give it to Zurich Phelps. I'm going to go to the corner, and I'm going to set either a back screen, I'm going to set a pin down, I'm going to get somebody open, or I'm going to get open off that, but I'm never going to interfere with the main point of the offense. I'm going to stay in my area, and most times you're going to get helped off of. You're going to get a shot, and are you prepared to knock down that shot? Are you confident enough to knock down that shot? If you can do that, you can up the level of practice. Defensively, I'm a step or maybe 3 behind because I'm not very good at defense, I'll be honest. But do I know where to be? Am I going to take a charge when it presents itself? Am I going to dive on the floor for a loose ball when it presents itself? It's just being able to be mentally and physically tough, but also just smart in the way you move in all aspects of being on the court with these guys.
I agree. So another huge aspect about being a walk-on, and most guys don't know this, is walk-ons, you got to be ready for scout team, right? When conference comes around, conference is when you make your stand to go to the NCAA tournament. Obviously, that's everyone's goal.
For sure.
And I felt like a couple years ago, SMU got snubbed. Should have been in it, but it is what it is. Stuff happens. You can't give the NCAA a reason to say no, right?
Absolutely.
So you got to win out in conference, and you got to be top, right? With that comes scout team and preparing for every game like it's a championship game, because conference in the American is tough.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's tough. And I just came out of the Big 12, which was widely considered as the best conference in college basketball.
No off nights.
It's you can't have an off night, because then we go up to West Virginia and we lose when West Virginia was 14th in the Big 12. And we lose to West Virginia, a team that we were more talented than, but it doesn't matter who the better team is. It matters who's ready for that night. So, we get assigned players from the other team, and we're in scout team. And for that week, or for those few days, I was Noah Farrakhan, right? Or I'm Jameer Nelson Jr. from TCU, right? And every week or every few days, I switch into becoming a different person.
Mm-hmm.
How is that experience for you? Because I know for us, scout team is intense.
Yeah. So, Coach Lanier used to always say, you don't have to be a hero, don't be cute. So it's like anything my guy does, they gave me that guy specifically because he kind of correlates to what I can do well. So
sure.
Most of the time when you get assigned a scout team player, it's because he's a good shooter. You're going to be a good shooter. You know what I mean? So you're giving him the most realistic look possible. So when it came to us, it was more about I have to be able to execute this play exactly how they asked me to execute this play because that's how they're going to run it. But if you leave a hand down on a good shooter, he's going to shoot the ball in the game. So in the same way as I'm going to give you that realistic look of I'm going to shoot the ball. Now, I'm not going to go outside the play and make some crazy, theatric play. It's irrelevant to the coaches. Don't do that. But stay the course and know exactly what you're supposed to do in your role. So I think going into any scout team was like, all right, I got to know exactly what this guy does. I got to be educated in how he does it. And then I got to play my role as best as possible to my strengths as Jackson, not as who I'm,
right,
like simulating. It's how can I play to my strengths, but also how can I give them the most realistic look?
For sure. Did you ever have a favorite scout comparison?
That's a great question. I'm trying to think back to some of the teams we played, some of the guys I got. Man.
Because, Memphis always got talent. And, 2 years ago, Houston.
I was just about to say, Houston year, I got to be Marcus Sasser, and I had the ultimate green light. That was awesome.
That's awesome.
That was a great one. Probably that one, or they had this guy at USF, and I could butcher his name. It was either Trey Harris. I think it was Trey Harris.
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
But, man, he shot the crud out of the ball, and I got to be him, and he had the ultimate green light too. So those green light players are ones you really want to be in a scout.
Yeah, my favorite scout guy actually didn't even come in college. At Duncanville, we ran it like a college program.
Mm-hmm.
We were Duncanville University. So my freshman year, we played Richardson, and I was on the scout team because I had moved up from JV. So we're playing as Richardson, and I was Rylan Griffin. And I had ultimate green light.
Yeah.
And Rylan is my guy. He's a really good friend of mine. He's actually going to be on the show here pretty soon. But, man, it felt every time I got the ball, it was going up.
Lace it.
Yeah, lace it. Yeah, man. So I think the scout team is cool because, yeah, while you are trying to give a realistic look, you do get to work on a little bit of stuff that if you were thrown into a game as Jackson Young, you wouldn't really get to do.
Absolutely.
I've never been – in AAU, sure. But in high school and real, high competition basketball, you're not going to see me coming off a whole lot of ball screens and making plays and stuff. But on scout team, you'll see me do that, and that's a lot of fun.
It is.
Yeah.
And I think also when you say that, it kind of makes me think back to, I feel like this applies to anything in life, is if somebody's better at doing it than you, do your role and let them do it. If you got a 5-star ball handler, he's a 5-star ball handler, and you're a 1-star ball handler, but you're a 5-star shooter, you let him be the 5-star ball handler, and you become the 5-star shooter. So it's really in any role in life, it's just giving the role to somebody else to make it more efficient. And that's jobs,
sure.
That's being a boss. It's I think it's called, what is it, task something. But basically just sharing that so you're going to get the most out of the project.
Playing to your strengths.
Absolutely.
Obviously, I've always, and I say this, and people look at me so crazy, but I say this, in my class of 2023, I felt like I was the best shooter in the nation. Why? Because in any situation, especially in high school ball, I had guys who were going to create open shots for me, and the shots that I was taking were easy. It was open shots. How easy is it when Anthony Black blows by his man and draws 3 people and then he kicks out? It's a practice shot. It's a wide open corner 3. So, that's a factor in it, but I felt like I was the best shooter in the nation. You weren't going to see me bringing the ball up and trying to break a guy down and go.
Yeah.
And I carried that with me to the college level, which I feel like guys like us, I feel like our game does translate, even though we're not getting a whole lot of minutes. It translates from one level to the next.
If you do your job.
Right.
Yeah. If you become the best possible defender you can become and you can lace it, you can shoot the ball, there's always a role for you on any team.
For sure.
It does help if you're 6'7" lacing it,
yeah.
As opposed to 6'2", 6'1", you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, there's obviously levels to it. But, yeah, we could step into any pickup game. We can step into any – I don't want to say any Division I game because if you put me on the floor against a 2013 whatever Bob Huggins West Virginia team,
Yep.
I might get pressed up a little bit and probably not be able to do a whole lot. But
yeah, okay, so not the historic college basketball teams. You throw you in against USF.
I could
can
run
get
the
up and down.
I could be part of the offense and probably maintain the level of play for 3 to 5 minutes of playing,
Which is all you need to do.
and that's being realistic. I mean, yeah, there might be defensive lapses given my athletic abilities.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not as quick. I don't play great on defense, but as far as offensive standard, I'm not going to get in the way. The offense is going to run efficiently, and you're adding a guy that can shoot the ball decently. You know what I mean? So it would allow for a little bit of wiggle room in there for a guy like me to step in and play.
For sure. Man, this is a topic where I feel like it's not coach's fault, but there are games where you feel like you scouted a team really well and it just doesn't go your way. And for us, last year, I feel like that game was Marquette. We spent maybe a week scouting Marquette. Obviously, there's a lot of personal stuff there. Shako was a coach at Texas before Beard, and there was a lot of personal stuff there. So we're really going in on this Marquette scout. And I remember we were talking about Tyler Kolek. And Coach was telling us, hey, on Tyler Kolek, he never shot the ball if a guy went under the screen last year, and this was early in the season. He said he never shot the ball whenever a guy went under the screen, so let's go ahead and go under the screen and stay in front of the ball. Sounds great. That's what we were supposed to do. We can live with that, right? First play of the game. Tyler comes down, left hand, dribbles just across the logo. Guy goes under the screen, laces it. First play of the game, and we're just
He set the tone.
Yeah, dude, and it was maybe 3 or 4 times during that game where he hit a 3 because we went under the screen. And that's not coach's fault because we watched the game and we watched his whole season last year. He wasn't shooting that. But now he's reading, they're under the screen, shot. 28 points later,
Yeah.
where we were sitting here with our foot in our mouths.
Yeah.
That was rough.
Sometimes you play the analytics, you play what the numbers say, you play what the, his typical routine says, and sometimes they just have a night anyways. But they do it in ways you've never seen before.
I mean, the guy was an early second-round draft pick. Pros are pros. Like, certain guys are just going to get theirs, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Oh, yeah.
And that's at high school ball. That's at the college level. That's definitely at the pro level. I mean, you
Absolutely.
can't do any. Damian Lillard is going to be Damian Lillard. You can't do anything about it.
And that was David Jones for Memphis last year.
Man.
I think if you go back, he might have gave us 28 one game, and I want to say he had a 30 ball against us in 2 games. But we were at home. We were willing to let David Jones alone beat us if he was going to beat us by himself. But he was one of the best scorers I've seen in college.
Yeah.
And I mean, he doesn't have a I don't know where he's at in the NBA now, but in college he was one of the best scorers I've ever seen. And I feel like there is a role for guys like that anywhere in the world playing basketball. It does not limit it to the NBA.
And you kind of mentioned something a second ago. I think LeBron said it best because I watched the Mind the Game podcast. I think LeBron said it best. In higher levels of basketball, it's not about what you're looking to stop. It's about what you're looking to give up. What you're going to say, okay, we can live. If they're going to beat us on these 1 to 2 actions, if they're going to beat us on that, we can live with it.
Absolutely.
So, I don't know. I mean, every game, I feel like there's always those 2 things where it's, hey, if they just get on a roll running this, whatever, right? And for us, when we played Kansas, that was the short roll. They set a step up screen with Hunter Dickinson, get him. DeJuan Harris is an amazing point guard.
Absolutely.
He'd come off of that, hit Hunter in the short roll, and Hunter is a good passer too. So I mean, he'd get it at that high post. He's either knocking it down, shooting a floater, kicking to that opposite side.
Yeah.
We were willing to live with the short roll, but
I mean, it became, what do you want? You want Furphy lacing a 3 over here. You want Kevin McCullough lacing a 3 over here. I mean, you already got 2 of your 2 of the best pick and roll players in college basketball in the pick and roll. So it's really pick your poison. And so I can understand you play the analytics, you play just kind of the system that they show. But also, yeah, it is figuring out what you're willing to give up. And I think in a lot of games, it's like, you think about the Celtics and Mavericks. Like, I'm going to live with an Al Horford 3 or an Al Horford jumper over Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown.
Or Jaylen Brown
Derek
slot cut.
White.
I'm not giving up a Jaylen Brown slot cut. I promise you that. That's he can't happen.
So
I'd rather give up Derek White contested top of the key as opposed to, Jason Tatum on an island.
There's what you're willing to give up.
What you're willing to give up, man. But, I think what killed Dallas in that series was just the lack of defense from Luka specifically.
That's a very, highly mentioned point for sure. I just think Dallas did not match up well at all.
We definitely didn't.
Definitely
didn't.
We have, Derek Jones is a great defender.
PJ was
PJ
really doing
was
his thing.
playing his butt off. But at the end of the day, it's like Celtics had just too many threats.
Yeah.
And, Luka's lack of defense hurt him. But also, were the Celtics willing to give up Luka having 40?
Right.
Luka having 35?
And
make
then
him beat us?
Kyrie wasn't Kyrie.
He wasn't second half
hurts,
Kyrie he had been all playoffs.
Yeah.
He had been second half Kyrie all playoffs. Just might have 2 in the first half and turn up and have 24 by the end of the game.
Right. There's not much you can do with that. But
for sure.
We talked about your journey and everything, and one of the things that was mentioned was coaching changes, right? So from a player's perspective, how, and in the locker room, what goes through your head when you see that a new coaching staff is coming in?
So I think as a walk-on at first, you have a little bit of anxiety. That's like, okay, well, are these coaches gonna, let me maintain the position I'm in? Because ours is a very replaceable position. They could have their own walk-ons that they bring in, and you just have to live with that. So I was fortunate enough that Coach Infield allowed me to stay here, and so I think going into every season, every program, different players, different coaches, I'm gonna come in with the same attitude, the same mindset. Is I'm gonna give y'all my 100% when I walk in these doors every day. From the time I'm in the locker room communicating with the guys to when I'm on the court, to if somebody needs a ride after practice, because in the grand scheme of things, we're fortunate to be in the position that we're in.
For sure.
At the end of the day, it's they don't have to let us be walk-ons.
Right.
And I think once you develop that mindset, as opposed to I'm just like every other player, you're not. At the end of the day, you're on the team, but you're not like every other player. So what more can you give as a person? And I'll highlight that more than anything, is being a walk-on is more important about what person you are. So Coach Infield allowing me to be part of the program and allowing me to stay here, I think I owe him the same level of respect that I owe Coach Lanier and what I'm going to bring every day. Yeah. And it might feel different, be different. I don't know. It's early. You don't know what it's going to be like, but you have to be the same, because no coach is going to hate effort. No coach is going to hate positive attitude. No coach is going to hate caring about all the guys on your team. So if I come in every day and I show effort, a positive attitude, I care about everyone in the program, and I maintain the same level of respect for everybody who's around, you can't really have any downfall. It might feel different, be different, but it is still the same person coming in every day. So I think for me, it was just I'm going to give him the same level of respect. I'm going to work my butt off for him, just like I'm going to have to work my butt off for my boss one day.
Right.
And I might have a new boss. Well, I'm not going to get paid if I don't come in and work hard every day. And that's my dad taught me that at a young age. It's you want to work, you get paid. You don't like working under somebody, become the owner of it.
Man, that's nail on the head right there, bro.
At a young age, and I was fortunate enough for him to say that, and he's a high school basketball coach, but he owned a landscaping business, and he went to work for himself every day because, being a high school basketball coach at Kerrville Tivy in the middle of nowhere, 22,000 people, you make enough to support a family living a minimalist lifestyle at some points, but my dad wanted more for our family, so he worked harder. So I think seeing that from a young age is I want to instill this in my own life. It's I don't want to be just there. I don't want to be just a walk-on that's just there every day. It's okay, all right, Jack showed up, but he didn't bring anything. Yeah. It's hey, Jack showed up and he rebounded for his teammates after practice. He's supposed to be a player. Isn't that manager? It's not a manager's job. Yeah. You're there. You're part of the team. That's your role. Accept your role.
Man, that's real talk, man. like, I've had multiple instances where it was, okay, Tyrese is getting shots up on this end, but he's got 2 GAs with him. Max is walking down to this side. Let me go rebound for Max. Yo, Max, got you, bro. Let's work. Let's get your shots up.
Yeah.
Because, you were a little bit off last game. Let's get you back right. And, be drenched in sweat rebounding for him because, that's just what you got to do.
And then when you want to get your own shots up, you go in on your own time and you get on the gun. I'm not going to call a manager like, hey, come rebound my shots for me.
Yeah.
I'm not at the same level that guy's at. Now, if I'm getting the minutes as a walk-on, then I might ask, hey, do you mind doing that?
Yeah.
But no matter what, I'm going to maintain the same level of just, like, who I am. Like, I'm never going to change the person I am and give the same respect to everybody. So, like, I'm never too good to do a job. Like, if you're too good to do a job, then that's your own problem,
Yeah.
You're
never going to cause a lot of problems.
Yeah, you're never too good to do something. Like, every day somebody's got to go to work and do all the things you don't want to do. So you're going to appreciate that person. A manager rebounding all day, you don't want to do that. You have appreciation for them. You go help them out.
Yeah.
And you see a piece of trash on the ground. You have a janitor at your school, but you're going to pick up that piece of trash and throw it in the ground, or pick up that piece of trash off the ground and throw it in the trash because you have a certain level of respect for that person who has to be a janitor.
Yeah.
They're doing a job that you might not want to do.
Man, that's real, dude. Nah, I try to, relay that, and I try to show those things in my day-to-day life. And I feel like us walk-ons really get it because, it's not handed to us. We do have to go earn it.
Absolutely.
Every single day, we have to prove why we belong. And so, I definitely try to live by that, whether it's the content stuff, which, no one controls this. I do it all.
Absolutely.
I have the setup. I edit the videos. I clip everything. So one day when I have a team who's doing it for me, they're going to hear thank you from me every time they submit something. And I try to show appreciation to people that way. And in large part because of my experiences at Duncanville and having to work through all that stuff and my experience as a walk-on this past year, dude, that means everything, man.
You get a certain level of appreciation, a certain level of gratitude. And I think, one of my biggest things is, I have a certain level of confidence, but I never have an ego. An ego is something that just prohibits you from allowing yourself to feel any, sort of respect or any sort of, appreciation for somebody else. When you have an ego, it's just it's me, it's me, it's me. So I think more than anything, it's it's not you. Personally, I'm religious, so it's always the man above for me.
Man.
Every situation that I've ever been in is because he's put me in that situation. The good, the bad, the ugly. I've been through it all. I've been through injuries. I've had heart surgery in 8th grade. I've done it all. But at the end of the day, I'm at where I'm at. And I didn't start here, but there was people along the way that did everything around me to allow me to be here. So who am I to think I'm better than everybody else who did the stuff around me to allow me to be here?
That's real, man. That's real.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm a Christian too, so I try, man. I try to be like him. I'll fall short every day, but I try.
We all do.
Yeah,
we
for
all
sure,
do.
man. I love that, dude. This is one of the realest, more heartfelt conversations that I've had on this show. So I appreciate you really giving that insight.
No, for sure.
One more question, and this might be the most important one I ask of the whole episode. Out of us two, who's got better hair?
Better hair. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie. I got nothing in it right now. You're slick back Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're slick back Jack right now. I got the mully though.
What is it? Business in the front, party in the back.
Business in the front. Yeah. So, whenever I take the hat, I can't do it right now because if it's on camera,
you got hat hair.
Yeah. But
I'm gonna give it to you, man, for real.
I appreciate that.
You pull it off in a way I could never.
The mullet's so I call it the modern mullet because it's not quite as country and as just rugged as some of the people back home rock, which rock it. That's your style. But mine's the front's I might go to SMU, but the back's but I came from Kerrville, Texas.
Yeah.
I still got some of that in me.
Yeah.
So I think that's really why. And the stash is
you got that pretty mullet.
The stash is just that lip fedora, man. That's what I call it, bro. It's like the little cap that sits on top.
Man, I love your style, dude. I'm gonna have to pick up some fashion tips from you, man.
I appreciate it,
I've been
bro.
falling behind on that, man. But Dude, I really, really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to do this, man. Means a lot. I know we're going to work on a lot of stuff together in the future.
Absolutely.
So, man, I'm really excited to see how you do this year and excited to get to work with you, man.
Yeah, no, man, I appreciate you having me on here, and I think there's big things to come for you too. And whatever journey you go on, I know there'll be success in it. You don't write your own story. Remember that the man above does. Yeah. So follow what the signs he gives you and just keep doing your thing, bro.
Man, appreciate that, buddy.
For
awesome,
sure.
Man. Well, for all you guys watching, make sure that you go follow my man Jackson. I will have his stuff down below in the description. Man, I really, really enjoyed this episode, and I have a lot of other really entertaining and insightful guests coming up, so make sure that you guys stay tuned. And with all of that being said, whether you're on the court or you're on the sideline, go with God and always do your best. Peace.